The moment a 3-year reign quietly ends usually comes with fireworks, denial, or at least a little bit of drama. Patrick Mahomes gave the league none of that. When word broke that Josh Allen had finally passed him atop ESPN's annual quarterback rankings, all Mahomes offered reporters was a short, almost dismissive line. "You understand it." 2 words that told you everything about where his head is right now, and maybe everything about how the rest of the NFL sees the quarterback landscape heading into 2026. For 3 straight years, Mahomes sat alone at the top of this list, a poll built from the opinions of more than 70 league executives, coaches, and scouts who quietly rank the best players at every position before the season starts. It's not a fan vote. It's not a highlight reel contest. It's the closest thing football has to a locker room consensus, the people who actually watch tape for a living deciding who they'd want under center if their job depended on it. And for 3 years running, that answer was Mahomes without much argument. This year, the argument finally came, and it came from Buffalo. Josh Allen didn't just close the gap on Mahomes, he walked past him, finishing with an average ranking of 2.10 compared to Mahomes' 2.19. That's razor thin on paper, but in a poll built on the composite opinion of dozens of front office voices, thin margins still produce a very real, very symbolic result. Allen is now the top-ranked quarterback in football, and Mahomes is the one adjusting to life at number 2 for the first time since the poll's modern era began favoring him. Here's the part that makes this whole story more interesting than a simple changing of the guard. Mahomes actually received more first-place votes than Allen did. Over 40% of voters still put Mahomes at the very top of their individual ballots, compared to just over a third for Allen. So how does a guy with fewer first-place votes end up ranked higher overall? It comes down to consistency across the entire ballot, not just who gets the most love from the top slice of voters. While a big chunk of evaluators still see Mahomes as the best pure quarterback in the building, another meaningful group ranked him noticeably lower, with at least one ballot placing him all the way down at 9th. That kind of split vote drags an average down fast, and it opened the door for Allen, who didn't get quite as many number 1 votes but rarely fell far outside the top few on anyone's list. In other words, Mahomes still has believers who think he's the best in football, full stop. But he also has skeptics now in a way he simply didn't a year or 2 ago. And that split is the real headline here, more than the ranking itself. So why the sudden skepticism around a 3-time Super Bowl champion who spent the better part of a decade being the standard everyone else got measured against? 2 words explain most of it: the season and the injury. Kansas City missed the playoffs in 2025. A sentence that still feels strange to type about a Mahomes-led team. Then, in Week 15, disaster struck. Mahomes tore both his ACL and LCL, an injury serious enough to end his season immediately and cast real doubt over his availability for the start of the new year. He's since said he's targeting Kansas City's season opener for his return, but as anyone who's followed a major knee reconstruction knows, that timeline ultimately belongs to the medical staff, not the calendar. Evaluators didn't ignore any of that. When you're voting on who the best quarterback in football is heading into a new season, recovering from a torn ACL and LCL is not a small footnote, it's a legitimate factor, and it clearly weighed on more than a few ballots. Meanwhile, on the other sideline, Josh Allen has spent the last 2 seasons quietly answering the one criticism that used to follow him everywhere. For years, the knock on Allen was simple: ridiculous arm, terrifying athleticism, but too many careless turnovers to trust him with the keys to a championship roster. That version of Allen is fading fast. Voters specifically pointed to his improved decision-making and his ability to protect the football as a major reason he finally cracked the top spot, alongside the traits that made him a top prospect in the first place: elite arm strength and the kind of mobility that turns a broken play into a first down or a touchdown out of nowhere. One NFL general manager summed it up bluntly, calling Allen the most singularly unstoppable player at the position when he's playing his best football. That's not a small compliment coming from someone whose job is literally to evaluate talent for a living. And the numbers back up why people are talking this way. Allen is the only quarterback in NFL history to reach 200 passing touchdowns and 50 rushing touchdowns in a career, a stat line that basically has no historical comparison. He's not just a passer who can run when things break down. He's a genuine dual-threat weapon who happens to also be improving in the exact area that used to hold him back. That combination is rare, and it's clearly starting to change how the league's decision-makers rank him against the very best in the game. Now, before anyone starts writing Mahomes' obituary as the league's top quarterback, it's worth zooming out. This ranking measures current form, not career resume. Mahomes is still a 3-time Super Bowl champion and a 3-time Super Bowl MVP, accomplishments that put him in a class most quarterbacks in NFL history never sniff, let alone at just 30 years old. Allen, for all his rise, still doesn't have a championship to his name. He's chasing the one thing that's separated Mahomes from basically everyone else in this era of football. So really, what changed here isn't some sudden collapse from Mahomes or some mythical leap from Allen out of nowhere. It's simply that voters were asked a very specific question: who is playing the best right now, heading into this season? And for the first time in 3 years, the answer wasn't automatically Kansas City's guy. And that brings us back to that quiet 2-word response from Mahomes. You understand it. Not angry, not defensive, not even really surprised. Just an acknowledgement that he knows exactly why this happened. A difficult season, a missed playoff run, and a devastating knee injury will do that to a ranking, no matter how many championships sit on your resume already. If anything, that reaction says more about Mahomes than a fiery rebuttal ever could. He's not treating Allen's rise as some kind of insult or slight. By every indication, he's treating it as motivation. One more reason to come back from a serious injury and push to get Kansas City back into championship contention. Because here's the thing about rankings like this one: they're a snapshot, not a verdict. Mahomes has been counted out before, quietly or loudly, and has answered those doubts with some of the most electric football this league has ever seen. Allen, meanwhile, finally has the recognition many felt he deserved, but now carries the pressure that comes with it, because sitting at number 1 means the target is officially on his back too. The debate between these two isn't ending anytime soon. If anything, it just got a lot more interesting. Mahomes has the rings. Allen has the ranking. And somewhere between those two facts is exactly why this rivalry has become the most compelling storyline heading into the new NFL season.